there, Improv Tipsters. Well, today I want to talk about what some people think of as forbidden scenes. Scenes that we shouldn't do. Scenes with strangers, scenes with teachers, scenes that are transaction scenes, scenes that are in bowling alleys, scenes that are with fortune tellers. All of these different scenes I've heard and I've said at certain times, oh yeah, don't do teaching scenes or whatever. But really, sort of as I got deeper into it, I realized, oh, there's an underlying sort of dynamic there that we should talk about. So first of all, let's talk about, they all sort of deal with kind of the same thing, and that is when we sort of get drawn up into the dynamic of these different scenes, we lose track of relationships. So let's talk about that really quick. First, let's talk about the bowling alley scene. I've heard that some people say don't do a scene in a bowling alley. Well, first of all, I get it. Like, bowling alleys can be very distracting. We think about bowling and all the sort of things about bowling or whatever. But here's the thing. It always comes back to this. The scene is not about bowling. It's always about the relationship of those people. And I'll also say this, that in this tip, ding, 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 right here, I talked about the idea of something new in the space. So if you're in a bowling alley, you don't need to be bowling. Maybe you're the two people that work behind the counter handing out shoes or whatever, or you're the person that polishes the lane at night or whatever. You can definitely switch up. But even if it is about bowling, even if you are bowling, it's never about bowling. It's about the relationship. So as you bowl, and I watch you bowl or you watch me bowl or whatever, that bowling should be saying something about our relationship. It should be showing something about us, right? If I bowl and I'm like, hey man, look at this. This is how a winner bowls. Watch me. I'm a winner. Watch how winners bowl. Whoosh. And then I'm showing, oh gosh, I'm a winner, and this is how I bowl. And then he bowls, and I'm like, yep, just like I thought. Loser bowling, loser life, you're a loser, right? So now the bowling means something about us. And as long as we sort of keep that in mind, then a bowling scene is just like any other scene. It's about relationship. The same thing sort of is with teaching scenes, right? A teaching scene isn't really about teaching, because if we're really teaching someone something, it's a loop, and it only goes two ways. One, I show them and they do it, and then either they get it right and I'm like, okay, great, and then we have to invent something new for the scene to be about, or they get it wrong and I show them again and then they do it, and then either they get it right and then it's like, okay, great, and then we're doing something new for the scene to be about, or they get it wrong and we sort of do that again, right? So once again, it has to be about relationship. We have to bring it back to relationship, right? So even as I'm teaching you something or we're sort of doing it, that's not really what the scene's about. That's just our activity, right? So I'm writing on the board and I'm writing down, the names of explorers or whatever, and then my student starts asking me about sort of if I've ever explored, and I always say, oh no, I would never. That's far too exciting for me. I'm a school teacher or whatever. So then now I'm revealing something about my character, and as I do that, then we can start exploring that. Then I'm sort of a homebody, a sort of guy who plays it safe. And then maybe my student is more like, oh, they're going to be an explorer. They're like really like out of the box thinker. So that's good. We've discovered something about the relationship. It's also the same thing with transaction scenes, right? I always think of transaction scenes of someone checking out at a supermarket, right? And I think I may have said this before in the tips, but I'll say it again. And that is like, if it's just just the transaction of checking out the supermarket, boop, 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 $22.87, like that's it. Then anything past that and getting the money and giving the change, anything past that is really stalling, right? So we really need to sort of infuse that with something about the relationship. So the transaction itself says something about the relationship. Boop, boop, boop. And then I'm the guy and I'm like, oh, soup for one? I know what that's like, man. So now I've made that connection, right? And then also sort of speaks to the strangers scene, right? If we're doing a scene between two people that have never met before, the way that we make that scene work, because we sort of really need to still play relationship, is to jump over that stranger distance, right? I need to jump over that stranger distance. I wouldn't make a big assumption about someone or pretend to know someone that I didn't know in real life, but in improv, this is exactly what we need to do. Two of us are at a bus stop, we're standing next to each other, we're sort of looking up and down the roads, we're talking about the bus or whatever, but then finally, to get the scene going, one of us has to say something about the other one. Hey man, you keep checking your watch. You trying to show off for something? Big fancy watch? You big shot? Right? So then all of a sudden now there's something happening between us that's not about us being strangers. I've jumped over and said something about that other person. And then if they're, a decent improviser, they're going to say, well, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say big shot, but yeah, I work hard and make a lot of money, so I bought myself a nice watch. Says the other guy. I get you, right? And then all of a sudden there's something happening between the two of us. right? And then finally, fortune teller scenes. This is another one that sometimes people are like, don't do fortune teller scenes. But I think the thing about fortune teller scenes is, again, making it about the relationship, turning it back into what's happening between these two people, right? Between these two people, where sometimes a therapist or a fortune teller scene can be like, oh, me as the therapist or fortune teller talking about something outside of the scene, about your other relationships and stuff, but I really kind of want to make it about the two of us. So I try to find a way, if I'm looking at my crystal ball, yeah, I see you're looking for romance. Maybe you'll find it today, maybe closer than you think or whatever. Whatever. Or I'm their therapist. I'm like, well, look, you're clearly very aggressive, right? And then that person's gonna be like, what are you talking about? Aggressive. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Calm down. And now, so we're doing the sort of the auspices or the activity of therapy, but really it's about our relationship, right? So not surprisingly, it all comes back to relationship. Finding the opportunity to say things about your partner, to give those big playable gifts, to get back to relationship. This is the way that we make forbidden scenes, or any scene really, work for us and be really a fun, interesting scene. I made this tip because I don't want people to get so hemmed in. Like one time we were doing it in class and someone was doing they'd heard before, don't do a scene in a bowling alley, and I put them in a bowling alley and they totally froze up and they were just totally like beside themselves, not knowing what to do. How do I know, but this is a rule that you can't ever, but you can. Right? I'm just going to dig a little bit, drilling down a little bit deeper on this, and the underlying dynamics are these that we've just spoken about, okay? So, check that out, try it in your work, see how you can make these forbidden or tricky scenes work, and remember, it always comes back to relationship. The most important person on stage is your partner, and it's never going to be about as I said, this Mark Sutton quote, one of my favorites, no one ever left an improv show thinking, man, they really fixed that bike. It's never about the activity. That's just there to keep you guys alive and give you a chance to show your relationship, to show your big playable gifts. Okay? Relationship. Talk about each other. Let me know down below how that works for you. I'll see you next week. Hey, thanks for checking out the video. Please leave me a comment down below and tell me what you would like to hear an improv tip about. And also, please subscribe and follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. All the links are in the description down below. Thanks.